Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sunshine State Rails. It is National Train Day. It's May 11th, 2024, and, well, what do you think I'm going to do on National Train Day? Come on. I figured today I'm probably going to try more of a vlog-style video. I have a few things in mind, but apart from that, it's just pretty basic intention. It's National Train Day, 2024, so as Mungo Jerry would say, have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
You're a rich girl, but you've gone too far, cause you know it don't matter anyway.
Okay. Couple hours down the line, what do we got? First thing that I want to take a look at over in our modernized Lakeland today is, well, I feel like we're not really looking at much. Might be news to some of you, but they're double tracking the Vitus subdivision north of 10th Street in Lakeland and extending it across the interstate. Interstate 4, America's deadliest highway, one of. But they've been doing this for the last couple of years, and progress is very minimal. So we're gonna go take a quick look at what's going on with it. And we have a southbound train that should be coming this way. So that's what I plan on shooting here. Crossing this bridge, which is still single track, but when we get back to the car, I'm gonna read the actual construction forum for this project. But what we're looking at here is the progress. I'll fly around it with a drone too to get a better look, but the second bridge piling is in place and all the supplies are laying around here, and it seems like construction has almost paused. I haven't seen much of any progress here in, well, almost a year. But I'm realizing now also that they have ribbon rail sitting here. That's a little odd, unless they're staging it for when they do actually put the new track in. That's 2 pairs of ribbon rail. So even if they were replacing the rail on this active main, that's twice as much as they need. And the fact that they're all laid out side by side like that, I wonder. So, as of November 2021, the Florida Department of Transportation sheet for this project states that the DOT, along with CSX, began this construction project on April 1st of 2021 to double track the bridge across I-4. Pretty simple explanation. However, project information states that beginning April 1st of that year, the construction ends in early 2024. I don't think so. Oh, I'm sorry, it says weather permitting. Yeah, that's because of weather. Anyhow, all scheduled lane closures are between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. with traffic rerouted over the Polk Parkway with tolls suspended for construction purposes. Construction costs are estimated at $26 million. Now, the initial preference of the project makes sense. They say they're doing it to prepare for future expansion of I-4. Not saying it's gonna happen, but it was one of those things where if the FDOT decided to make I-4 even bigger, they wouldn't have to demolish the railroad bridge to do that. As it says, the existing bridge is 250 feet long, and the 2 new parallel bridges are going to be 400 feet long, which will accommodate for expansion of I-4. Now, I've only seen 1 bridge piling go up, but this is one of the many projects happening around Lakeland right now. Even if it may not actively be happening day to day, it's still in construction stages, to say the least. Now, the part I don't really understand is why are they double tracking the tracks? Maybe that's because if CSX wants to double track it in the future, they already have it there to do it, so they don't have to build the bridge when the time comes. But ultimately, all they're doing is extending the 10th Street siding 3,500 feet north, maybe. To me, that seems a little redundant, but like I said, maybe it's for future It's a future investment, like the bridges are. So, as it turns out, this comment I'm reading is from 2 years ago, mind you, but there were 3 pilings that they put into the ground that were either in the wrong spot or leaning too bad, so they needed machines to pull them back out and try them again. So that probably has a lot to do with why we're still staring at a single bridge piling in early 2024 when this was supposed to be done. As the comment also says, quality in motion, baby. That's where we're at. So 1:30 in the afternoon. I'll get back to you when a train shows up.
Repeat, no defects. Total axles 372. Detector out.
Well, I might as well have taken a nap.
RCS to 453.
That was 45 minutes that just passed, and that was the Stokes defect detector. So this train that we know of is almost here, finally. So let's get a look.
Southbound mixed manifest train M453 would be one of few contenders on this year's National Train Day. He's making a southward run into Lakeland where they'll tie up at the junction for a recrew. The current crew has just brought the train south from Baldwin Yard, and the next crew will take it all the way into Miami. With the reinstation of Winston's manifest freight trains M604 and 603 respectively, as well as the installation of a few new rock trains in the area, M453 and its counterpart 52 no longer work the yard at Winston, so once he gets his crew at Lakeland Junction, they'll continue straight south for Miami instead of working the yard. The auto racks visible on the bottom of the train are also dropped at Palm Center by this train now, as well as the local job that took them from Winston to Palm Center has since been abolished. The overhead view also gives us a bit of a deeper look at what the construction stage of the project currently is. I've seen multiple cranes come and go from this spot, but the new bridge piling is the only real progress that I've seen here in the last 3 years. Obviously, though, either somebody or many of you are pitching in a good $26 million to have this project done, so eventually it's got to get completed. 53 is running about average length today, around 7,500 feet, so they'll fit between the Lakeland Junction and the 10th Street crossing just fine. The new crew wasn't supposed to be on site, though, for about another 45 minutes, so in that time we moved elsewhere.
So we moved the expedition down to Wabash Avenue.
729-11, deployment CD Hyatt.
And there's a party here. And 729's leaving Winston with 400 feet and 6 cars. It's the party. I guess it's a national day or something.
Engines online for a 6-car train.
You realize we are guilty of the same thing.
No, we're not.
I think we are.
Turn
I heard they were struggling a bit.
Yeah, sound like they're struggling up the hill.
Saw some wheel slip there.
I mean, you heard the screeching, didn't you? They're working.
No kidding.
But hey, talk about a national holiday. I ain't never seen this many cars at Wabash before.
The next stop for me would be the north leg of the Lakeland Junction Y, just physically south of the US 92 overpass, in the large area of property that used to be the site of the Lakeland tile plant, is now the site of another piece of Lakeland's modernization. For decades, this piece of land sat vacant after the demolition of the tile factory, but now new high-rise apartments are taking their place. The tracks too would be vacant, but for a much shorter period of time, as the M453 from earlier now has a new crew and is ready to go. Now skipping their Winston Yard stop from previous years, a medium clear signal indication would take them off of their current position on the Vitus subdivision onto the Carter subdivision towards Auburndale, and ultimately a southward turn towards Miami.
I mean, look at that. The sheer amount of people that are moving to this state now is, to me, is absolutely insane. And those who do live here are going to have to occasionally deal with the train rounding the corner right outside their condo, such as this 453 here, headed to Miami.
Opened in 1954, the Florida Tile Factory occupied this land until sometime right after 2010, when the headquarters moved and the building was torn down. The lot would then sit vacant, accepting the remains of the building until early 2023, when construction began on these new luxury apartments for Prospect Lake Wire. These will eventually be very high-end structures that will cost a fairly pretty penny to stay in, and with the railroad tracks literally butting up to the property line, it makes me wonder just how long it will take before residents of these new buildings begin to complain about the close proximity to the tracks. Mainly because that's the way the general public tends to turn with these kinds of things, hence the reason why downtown Lakeland has been a quiet zone for over 10 years now.
Never mind. I'm back at the party town, Wabash Avenue, and there's a train here, I guess. Should probably turn the car back on to hear who this is. Could be 604 Winston to Waycross Manifest, but he's early. It's 4:28 in the afternoon.
So, to save y'all the bits of personal confusion that I'm going through in this moment, this was actually M604. He was very early, but he may not have been profiled as that at this moment, as I think a different crew was building the train out of the yard, though later that afternoon it would turn into M604, departing for Waycross later.
Leaving at 4:29 in the afternoon. Oh, nice. You can tell what season we're in Those were all bug guts. Even though we actually got off fairly graciously this year.
After that, I would come out of my hiding spot and join my accomplices on the abandoned freight dock. 604 would keep building out, and a couple of Amtrak trains would come by while we sat around. But I was watching the clock as it was now after 5, and I had somewhere else I wanted to visit before they closed. One of the other projects happening around Lakeland for the last few years has been the construction of the Bonnet Springs Park, another revitalized piece of abandoned land, that which used to be the former Atlantic Coastline's Lakeland rail yard before everything moved down the hill to Winston and the yard was torn up. Early 2019 saw construction begin on this new community park to take its place, and it's taken me so long to get this video concept underway that the construction has been completed and the park opened for almost a year now. The park, however, closes its doors at 8 o'clock p.m., so I had to make sure I had enough time to look around, as it's a big piece of land. So after the quick spurt of action, I said my goodbyes to everybody and made my run up the street to Bonnet Springs. The entrance road, now named Bonnet Springs Boulevard, basically brings you right alongside, parallel with US 92, alongside Lakeland Junction. And from this point on, you can pretty much consider me a kid lost in a cornfield.
Okay, so this looks quite interesting.
I'd enter the park first at the Florida Children's Museum, and from that point I would literally just start wandering around, walking towards anything that caught my eye for the next probably hour and a half or so.
This is what I'm looking forward to right here. Oh, look at that. Well, if you guys want to read this, you can do that. Guess they have a tram too. No way. See, this is the bit I'm looking forward to here. All these artificial hills that I've got lining this place. I know these trees were put here, but they picked some good trees to put here. I'll say that. I would definitely show that off if I could get in there. This whole property used to be a railroad yard. When these hills were under construction, and they had a lot of these paths, but none of these trees were here. That flag was, though. I'm gonna show a clip from 2019. I mean, they did an incredible job with this place. I mean, this is my... Oh, dude, look at that. There's a bridge that goes even further. Where does that go? This place is endless. If it wasn't inherently obvious already, this wind that has just come out of nowhere is evidence of me having to probably caption most of this the rest of the way through. But walking up to that flag now, I mean, it's incredible to actually be up here. What is this thing? I don't know. A bench? I almost feel like I shouldn't be over here, but I am. I mean, these facilities are double storied. This is why people come to the park. I mean, this is one of the coolest things I've seen done in Florida in a while. That's what you need right there. So this is the whole park. And I don't think it says, so it actually, I'm realizing it goes way back in here too. That's probably where that bridge goes that I saw when we first walked in here. Wow. Now I realize why this took so long. Because this park is a lot more than the stuff that you could see from even a drone that I would fly over this when they were building it. I mean, the amount of stuff in here is just unfathomable.
Okay, Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to show you everything that's in here. Even just the stuff that I shot while I was in here. If we looked at it all, we'd probably be here for another 25 minutes just watching the park videos that I shot. There's no way to accurately represent the size and capacity of this place over any kind of video. You have to come here yourself. It's free admission. They're open most days of the week as far as I know. And believe me, if you come in here, you will be here for hours, especially if you're trying to get a full gist of what they've got in here. Museums, parks, nature walks, you name it, it's probably in here. I would love to show more of what I saw in here, but otherwise, we'd be watching this video for another half hour, and I don't think y'all can afford that, so we're gonna move on. This is one of the very few developments happening nowadays that I have nothing but positive things to say about. Eventually, I'd have to make myself quit daydreaming, as I almost forgot the whole reason I was out today was to see some trains. And to check out the park, of course, but also to catch some trains from within the park, because the artificial hills that surround the entrance provide a great vantage point of view passing trains on the Vitus Sub. So I trekked back up one of the initial hills, in particular the one that has the American flag mounted at the top, to catch train I-044 turning onto the Vitus Sub headed for Jacksonville. This is Tampa's northbound intermodal carrying Tropicana loads on days permitting, as well as UPS and double-stack container traffic.
The fun never stops. Oh, Zay and that guy and this guy. Fun never stops. Well, I also say that because there's a M604 coming north, and I don't have time to move anywhere else, so I guess we're getting them up here again. Maybe it'll be a little longer than the last one. that's it for Bonnet Springs. They're blocking off the entrance. Well, that does it for Bonnet Springs Park off Bonnet Springs Boulevard in Lakeland. That's, like I said, very, very impressed. I've watched this thing come up on and off for the last 4 or 5 years, and it was worth the wait. They did an incredible job with this park. If you're in Lakeland watching trains or just visiting or existing, you gotta come by this place. It's free and it is incredible. I mean, the amount of effort and work that they put into this place is immaculate, and it's worth it. It's probably one of the nicest places in Lakeland. Say that freely. So what I can say is that I'm hungry again, so I ordered some pizza from Pizza Palace, or I'm sorry, Palace Pizza. So 15 minutes, we'll see how that goes. What a trip that was. So got it, had to park 2 blocks away and walk to get there because of how busy it is at 9 p.m. in Lakeland, but we got it. So let's see. Cheese is drippy. It's a good sign. Am I allowed to show this part? I'm not gonna say delicious or anything, but it's pretty damn good. I'd attempt a second bite if it wasn't scorching hot. I'm gonna move back to the tracks and maybe it'll have cooled off by then. Turn the AC up, it's a little hot out still. I lied. It's pretty good. Okay. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with a modernized Lakeland I talked about, but it's a party here. Probably at least 4 blocks that way. They got lights, music. Of course, now that I start recording, it's off, but they've had maracas going. I mean, the pizza place was busy as ever. I'm back over the tracks. L765 is coming out of Winston, going to Taft. So, literally 2 blocks from the pizza place, I'm setting back up for a train. Okay, not much to say about 765 apart from the fact that it was the next moving thing to see in Lakeland tonight. But 765 is an almost nightly local that carries pretty much all rock loads bound for Orlando's Taft Yard. A nice leading locomotive on this one, still wearing the Yellow-Nose 2 paint job, and a rock train that I don't typically get to see as I'm not usually here in Lakeland at these hours of the night. Sticking with the Yellow-Nose 2 theme would come our next train that met this one about 5 miles to the east at Carter's Siding. It would be a northbound I-178. After having just left the terminus down at Winter Haven, they'd be an overnight run for Jacksonville. I-178 has been an every overnight staple in Central Florida for as long as I can remember, carrying many different varieties of the exact same thing. Double-stack containers stacked pretty much throughout the entirety of the train, but some of them are for Amazon Prime, some for JB Hunt, and some for CSX, and many, many others. The Winter Haven CFILC became the centralized hub for container shipments out of Central Florida decades ago. Well, make that about a decade ago. Orlando also had a centralized shipping center for these containers, but it has since been decommissioned and has been repurposed as an automotive unloading center for trains. Now, almost every container on the road in Central Florida goes right into Winter Haven and straight onto one of these trains. And a lot of them too. For these Winter Haven trains to be about 2 miles long every night is not abnormal. Alas, I did tell myself that this was going to be the last train for me tonight. And you know what? I'm sticking to that. It's nice and 10 o'clock. So, as Alex Chilton would say, lonely days are gone, I'm a-going home. So, thanks for joining me today on National Train Day 2024, where we took a look at some of what Lakeland has going on. I don't really know what I expected to accomplish with this, but maybe you enjoyed it. I had fun. Hopefully you did too. So, it was quite an experience today. I met a lot of people that I had been hearing about through mutual friends, and got to meet up with some old buddies of mine, and kind of got reminded of the olden days of me being a kid and coming out here and trying to catch every train that I could. For better or worse, I think those days are kind of come and gone, but then again, maybe that's irony. Today was kind of one of those days, just on a weekend where I had a free day, and it was a national day. But I got some stuff to do tomorrow, so that's all I care to see tonight, so I'm going home. Thanks for joining me, and whether I'm working on a train or watching one pass somewhere, I'll see you in that designated location on the Sunshine State Rails.